creature.
Pickle.
Now then, Alice, tell me, exactly how many chocolate advent calendars is the maximum a greedy person should have?
I don't know. I would have thought 30.
The nerve of your dad taking the fun out of Christmas like some kind of gluten-free Santa.
Lynn, why are you cutting off the top of the tree?
I'm just gonna borrow a little bit from our tree and make a mini one for the restaurant.
She's circumcising our tree.
We're gonna press on, and we're gonna have the happiest Christmas since Bing Crosby tap danced with Danny fucking Kaye.
If I could work my will, every idiot who goes about with Merry Christmas on his lips would be cooked with his own turkey and buried with a stake of holly through his heart.
You must be crazy. When are you going to stop believing in something that isn't true? When you stop believing in that fellow with the red suit and the white beard who goes ho, ho, ho. We are obviously separated by denominational differences.
What'd you do?
What?
What did you do?
We got you Kevin Bacon as a present?
You got me a human being as a present.
What better gift for the guy who has everything than an actual human living person?
This isn't a Christmas gift. This is human trafficking.
Merry Christmas, everyone. I'm home at last. Let the celebration begin.
Did you grow up with the NES, PlayStation, Star Wars, cartoons, and 80s TV? Do you like to think who would win in a fight between Batman and the Master Chief? Comics, games, movies, music, and TV. They're gonna tell you everything you need. Superheroes or not, they got your back. They're gonna save the world of geeks. Games, movies, music, and TV. They're gonna tell you everything you need. Superheroes or not, they got your back. They're gonna save the world of This Week in Geek. This Week in Geek.
Hey guys, what's going on? Welcome to ThisWeekInGeek.net's annual holiday gift guide. I am your jolly fat man. Yes, I'm Mike.
It sounded like you were waiting for me to talk, but instead you realized you called upon yourself.
Yes, and that is my brother, my producer, my best friend from the city of Kitchener, Ontario, Canada.
Alex the Producer.
Yeah, it
also
is.
Fat and jolly.
Yeah, also, we're the happiest jolly mother you can imagine. There goes any YouTube ad revenue. That's okay. I don't care, and neither should you. But what you should care about is the countdown to Christmas has begun. The showdown at the dinner table, but more likely Christmas morning, where peace treaties are all in effect and free stuff is coming your way. But we have to help you pick that stuff for the loved ones in your family, and it's usually a bunch of nerdery from our favorite partners we've had a chance to work with over this past 12 months. We've had tremendous support this last year from a number of different partners from the tabletop role-playing game industry. We've had a lot of people from the electronics and computers, toys, tons of video games, books, and stuff like that. It has been just a really outstanding year in terms of who we are working with this year. And considering TWIG has been around since 2007, this podcast is old enough to drive. This podcast is old enough to buy the cool magazines behind the counter, and is also eligible to go to war.
I was going to say no, but actually yes.
Yeah, so there you go. One thing we're going to mention just before we start today is me and former TWIG contributor Liam did the Santa Claus run here in Guelph, Ontario. This is, I think, the third or fourth year, I want to say, and we joined probably about 100 or more other participants. And me and Liam's team was called the Bug Stompers after the aliens drop ship in the movie of the same name. We raised money for Big Brothers and Big Sisters of Guelph. We were able to raise just under $1,200. And as far as I know, we were the top team in the region, and I was the top individual fundraiser. So if you contributed to assisting this wonderful cause, thank you so much from the bottom of my heart. I did post some videos up on Blue Sky that you can go check out, where me and Liam were determined to cross the finish line together. Just I had to take a shortcut because I couldn't trust my wheelchair on the trails. But we rolled down Main Street, Guelph together with probably a couple thousand people cheering us on. So that was kind of kick-ass. I really did enjoy that. So wanted to spread a little bit of holiday cheer. Me and Liam are planning on doing the exact same thing next year for Big Brothers and Big Sisters of Guelph. And then I guess the only other thing to mention is hopefully I will be serving meals on Christmas Eve to people here with another organization that I'm going to be working with called Side by Side Guelph. Really looking forward to joining a new community organization, which is done by my friend Lorelei. And yeah, that's the holiday news that I have to give you. So, we have a lot to do today. We have contributions from our good friends JT. We also have Ken contributing today. But me and Alex are going to break things up, and we're going to do our stocking stuffers here on the show. And we're going to start things off with one of mine. Then we're going to go to Alex, and that's how things are going to go.
Yeah,
I'll go first, and he'll go.
And we should say that stocking stuffer doesn't mean that they're lesser gifts. It's more like, a lot of times you'll have an honorable mentions list. It's sort of like that stuff that we try to always pick about a dozen specific and variety of things as our main gift. But then there's a few where we're like, hey, we would have liked to fit this in. They're great, but we don't know where.
Yeah, exactly.
That's where we put, 5 to whatever, half a dozen or so extras in here.
Exactly. All right, so first things, we're going to start things off going to the world of Avatar: The Last Airbender. This is the latest set in, I think it's called Worlds Beyond, with Magic the Gathering. Magic cards, awesome, because you could literally squeeze them into a stuffing, but Lord help you if you bend them. I've pulled some tremendously cool cards. I did pull a fairly expensive card. Wizards was generous enough to send me a collector's booster, or a couple of them, and I managed to pull Wan Shi Tong, which is the librarian, which is this legendary bird spirit. How appropriate. And it is one of the foil variants, and from what I understand, quite pricey. I'm very interested to see how this set will play out in Commander, which is my preferred way to play Magic. Wizards has had a fantastic series of sets this last year, specifically with Final Fantasy, which really got me back into the world of Magic hard, but they've also supported us in previous years with like Fallout, Assassin's Creed, and before Avatar, there was also the Spider-Man set, which you can find the collector's boosters for that fairly easy. So be sure to be checking your local retailers for that. But my first recommendation is going to be Magic the Gathering, Avatar: The Last Airbender.
Cool, man. For my first pick in that stocking stuffers is, every year we get sent a lot of extra games because, a lot of times we cover a lot of games in a year, right? We get sent a lot of games that sometimes are like the yearly titles that we won't usually like give a lot of, face time and focus to, because not a lot changes throughout the year, but we always give it our best shot and say, hey, are any of these, really worth your time if you're not already a super fan? So I always get a chance to check them out, usually right as we get close to the holiday gift guide stuff. And this year I have a couple in here. Obviously we're going back and forth, but I'll talk about the first one. And the first one is F1 2025, which is the, Formula One racing game. And we've sometimes gone years between reviewing, yearly racers and that. Well, this one came right at the same time as something that I have on my actual main list here. So it sort of complements it, but I'll obviously get to that when we get to it. But it's the first time that I've played this franchise in probably 2 or 3 years. And I was pleasantly surprised by, it's found that good middle ground between a simulation racer, which is ostensibly, what it's marketed as, and something that is a little more arcadey, because they do have all of those, quality of life updates that more modern games are starting to get, being able to like granularly customize the accessibility of it, like, because you've played a lot of like the really hard sim games before, like where you feel like, hey, it's a little bit restrictive, or it's like it's a little bit too much like I'm driving a car versus having a little bit of training wheels on. But you can totally customize it however you want. And I had a pretty fun time with it, where I was able to find that sort of sweet spot where it's like easy enough for me but giving me enough challenge. And in a world where everybody there's like tons of these simulation racers out there. There's not a whole ton of arcadey stuff. This year was a little different. This sort of found that middle ground, and I think that if you're somebody, especially who has like a racing wheel as an accessory, whether it be on console or on computer, it's one that works pretty much with any piece of hardware. It's just intuitive. You can set it up and all that, and I'll talk a little more about that a little later on. But that's my first pick was F125.
All right, my second pick is going to be a game that you can definitely pick up via Xbox Game Pass, I want to say. It is, I think it's free to play still, I'm almost positive. But why the reason I'm talking about it is Fallout Season 2 is literally days away. I am so stoked, you have no idea. So I'm going to be talking about Fallout 76 across Xbox Series X and PlayStation 5 from Bethesda. And I originally wrote this game off way back when. It's hard to believe it's been like 5 or 6 years since this game has come out, and there's been a lot of improvements since then. And most recently, the Ghoul from, as played by Walton Goggins, was basically the breakout character from last year outside of Ella Purnell, and now he's in the game as like a bounty hunter. And yeah, just the amount of improvements that have happened to Fallout 76 over the years of its service have really impressed me, honestly. It does have a thriving community. You can play the game. There's like single player content. It's still always a persistent online world, but you don't have to be as worried about people coming into your camp and kicking the crap out of you. And that's kind of why I'm going back to Appalachia. I mean, I'm looking forward to replaying Reclamation Day and establishing the Wasteland as, well, maybe not so a scary place. Well, no, who am I kidding? There's giant mutant beasts, the Scorch virus, super mutants, mole people, ghouls. And of course, I need to go rooting around in a pharmacy for expired milk and duct tape so I can build stuff at my camp. So still, honestly, Fallout 76, a nice comeback story from the Fallout franchise, and I really think that's a game you should be checking out if you have any of the major consoles.
For my next pick here, we have my other yearly title, and this year I picked NHL 26 because we tend to get the sports titles sort of near the end of the year, again usually for gift guide consideration. And in many past years I've put like baseball and different things in here, but you know what, I thought I'll jump in and check out NHL because it's been a little bit, and as to be expected, it had the iterative upgrades that you see in previous years, but it just, for some reason, it sort of hooked me this year. You know what I mean? It's hard to say why. It just did. And I don't really.
The franchise mode in that game is utterly fantastic. The fact that I can recreate the Guelph Storm with accurate lines as of a certain date, like they've got like big players in there. I think Charlie Paquette, who's our captain, Jet Lachenko, who is the Philadelphia Flyers person who we recently traded to the Brantford Bulldogs, is in the game, and he's amazing. And just like I said, the fact that their player portraits are in it, that's really cool. Honestly, that's a really solid pick.
That was my thing. Like, you know what it felt just like you'll see a lot of outlets. Even we'll do it sometimes where we're like, oh, another yearly title. Is it just an iterative upgrade with nothing to it? There was more substance this year, and it felt like, hey, this is a good year to jump on. For people that are, if you're a super fan, you're already playing it every year, obviously, right? But for the more casual people, or people that haven't gone in a while, if you're looking for a sports title, it's a good one to pick this year.
Yeah, I completely agree. This next one kind of took me by surprise. I mean, as a lot of people know, I'm big into tabletop role-playing games. I mean, I have like a Dungeons and Dragons tattoo, for Christ's sakes. But this one didn't expect the mix of genres with this. So I'm going to be talking about Nicktoons and the Dice of Destiny, specifically on the Switch. This one comes to us from Game Mill, and I like to think of it as baby's first Diablo, but you're playing with Nickelodeon characters. So having like Jimmy Neutron, the Ninja Turtles, one of the guys from like Fairly Odd Parents, all in this fantastical world. And I did receive a game code for this, but I was actually gifted the collector's edition for this game from my wife, and it's really nice. Like, I'm honestly impressed by this. I hope the game continues to get updates. And like I said, if you're into the simple kind of gameplay loop of like fight and loot and get some cool stuff, but like I said, it's the appeal of having the IP in this particular style of game, I think is really cool. Like, I would like to see other IPs get a hold of this. Like, I don't know, maybe I talked about Avatar. I could see that working, and there are Avatar characters in this game, but maybe stuff like Transformers, or maybe something like, say, Thundercats, or something. I think it'd be cool.
Transplanting the loop over to that sort of thing. Like,
yeah. Like, I think something like that could be really fun, and it would be a really interesting way to get more people into the IPs. And that's what I kind of liked about this. It's a way for the kids that are young enough to say, hey, we are watching this on Nickelodeon right now. But it's also for people like me who like, hey, I remember that. So I think that is pretty cool.
Gotta remember, even though, we're getting old, quote unquote,
Shut up.
SpongeBob has been on the air since like 99 or 98 or something like that.
Shut up.
So, but you know what I mean? Like, it's for older, like for that first generation of Nick kids, they were already aging out, but SpongeBob was coming in already, right? So
yeah, like SpongeBob is literally eternal at this point. Like, it'll be on until the day that we die.
SpongeBob is old enough to have kids who are watching SpongeBob.
That's, my God, I hate you. Yeah, but seriously, Nicktoons and the Dice of Destiny, it is fantastic. Whether you're getting this as a digital-only title, or whether you want to drop the bucks and get the collector's edition, if you can still find it, totally worth it.
For my next pick, it is Final Fantasy Tactics: The Ivalice Chronicles. I reviewed it earlier, so we'll save you. I don't need to do a full review because I already did. If you want to go listen to that back, it's from a few. Has it already been a couple months? It's hard to tell anymore.
Feels like it, yeah, easily.
But as it stands, if you've probably heard about Final Fantasy Tactics in the past, as it wasn't the progenitor of like the entire genre. It wasn't like, the first, prior to that in the West, we'd already had like the Shining Force series, and we'd already had, we hadn't had the Fire Emblem stuff here yet, but we had War Song and a couple other games, probably the most predominant ones being like Ogre Battle, which was a very limited release on the Super Nintendo. And then on the Sega side of things, you had the Shining Force series that was actually quite popular. Final Fantasy Tactics is what really brought tactical RPGs into the Western, hemisphere, just sphere of like consciousness, because of the immense success only several months earlier from Final Fantasy VII. And for years, there had been, a port on the, and sort of an enhanced port on the PSP, and there had been sort of semi-sequels on Nintendo platforms, but the original had sort of stayed as it was for years and years and years. And, fast forward to today, we finally got a version that looks good and works well on widescreen TVs, and most importantly, is fully voice acted, because there was a lot of text in that game originally, and going back to it now, almost 30 years later, for a new audience, it would be quite jarring. But with all the quality of life updates they gave it, to like being able to fast forward through combat, being able to skip unskippable battles if you're just trying to get around the map, lots of little things that you can listen to my review if you want to hear more about. But the big thing being fully voice acted, very well professionally produced and presented. It's sort of a good way to get into the genre, and they did keep all of the little extra secrets and stuff in it from the original, and then just enhanced it more. So if you're looking for something to get that person that likes to think strategically, it's a good game to go with.
Fantastic. My next pick is going to be a movie from our good friends over at Warner Brothers, now owned by Netflix.
Well, we should say
pending.
Pending. We don't know if it's going to happen. Announced the intent to own. I feel like it's interesting. Netflix puts out a thing saying we own them, and then like an hour later they're like, well, if it goes through.
Yeah,
we'll see.
We'll see. So my pick is one of the best movies I saw this year. And in fact, I think this was the first movie I saw when my wheelchair was back in operation, this operational battle station. I went to the movies and I saw the Ryan Coogler directed Sinners starring Michael B. Jordan. This movie is awesome. I could not believe how I would call it the Black from Dusk Till Dawn, but that's underselling it. An amazing cast in this. Haley Stanfield plays in it. Like I said, Michael B. Jordan. And the less I tell you, the better, but stick around. It is probably one of the coolest movies I've seen in a really long time. It's atmospheric, it's got action, it's got an amazing soundtrack to it, and when you watch this in 4K, you are in for an absolute treat. If this ever comes back to theaters, go see it. It is probably one of the best horror movies I've seen in a very long time. My other pick was Almost Companion, which came out very early in the year, which was another surprise, and randomly Jack Quaid. But it was a toss-up between these two titles. But when I think about the movie, I'm going to go back and rewatch or show people horror is something a little bit different than what you expect. Sinners is going to be my pick 9 times out of 10.
And for my next one here, it is Borderlands 4. And this is one of those ones where it initially wasn't going to make the list because of, if you've been
so many
the
tech
news,
problems. Yeah,
it wasn't a problem with the creativity of the game. It wasn't a problem with the intention. It was a problem with their launch, and also initially we had wanted to review it and check it out on Switch 2, and everything was pushed back because of technical issues. So technically, it hasn't even launched on that platform yet, and then there were issues on the computer and other things, and it was like, a lot of the stuff is cleared up now when it comes to like PC performance and console. So while it doesn't make my regular full list, this is where reason I put this here is if you can find it on sale, it's a recommend from me. Because especially if you find like a console version on sale, or if you see a PC sale, as an extra, you have a little extra money for like a stocking stuffer, quote unquote. This is one to get because it is actively, constantly being updated, and more and more is going to come for it. And I do think it's a really solid game. It's just it had that cloud of a less than stellar launch behind it, but now we're a few months in, and I think a lot of that is cleared up. And if you're thinking, I like the Borderlands games. Is it going to be more of the same? It's more of a same refinement of the series. It just, had that unfortunate launch, and now it's mostly cleared up. So, I was like, where do I put it? Because I do want to include it, and that's why I put it here just in our stocking stuffer mentions.
Yeah, I think it's a pretty solid game now, and I'm a big fan of the Borderlands franchise, so I would definitely agree. My last pick today is going to be something for the role-playing person in your family, and that is coming to us from Serious Dice. And these are these like kind of blind bags, which are surprisingly addictive when you get into them. And right now, Serious has the Undermountain dice bags. They sent me a bunch of them. They sent me like 6 of the blind bags, and I was able to pull 2 uncommons from their dice, and I pulled obviously the rest commons. But just because they're common doesn't mean they look terrible. But you're also getting markers for like inspiration, different spells, different monsters. You're getting a really nice dice bag. You're getting an outstanding set of dice. There are legendary sets that may be 1 in a million. I think there was a set from a previous one, which was the Yawning Portal, where literally one of the sets was literally coated in real gold. So it's really awesome. And like, again, it adds something a little bit more to your table if you're into clickety-clackety math rocks. So I'm looking forward to doing more with Serious in the future. I know in my TTRPG gift guide, I recommended their Stranger Things collection. If you wanted to include, I guess, something a little extra with the Undermountain Dice blind bags, there are D&D dice cups with their own mini collections. But again, I like the thrill of blind bags because you never know what you're going to get. So, Serious Dice, these Serious Dice Undermountain blind dice bags, I think, are a serious pick for your stocking stuffers.
All right, and for my final one of the stocking stuffers, I wanted to mention Shinobi Art of Vengeance.
Yes!
This
such
is
a good game.
It's been the year of the ninja, really, this year. And I could have included, either of the Ninja Gaiden games that we reviewed earlier. Both are great, but I felt like I wanted to mention Shinobi Art of Vengeance because if you're looking for a 2D, retro-inspired game that both has physical or digital versions depending on what you see on sale. And also there is I believe a demo that you can get on pretty much every platform if you want to check it out. Solid, tight gameplay, retro style. It's hard but not punishing. It forces you to get good.
It
forces you to get good without being cruel.
Yeah.
And without being expectant, if that's a better way of saying it. Like, it's not like, hey, you have to be fantastic. If you can just get used to the controls and just how the feel of the game, you can complete the game as is, but you'll feel like, oh, I want to find the secrets, and that's where you can challenge yourself and get good, for lack of a better term. Fantastic hand-drawn art style, good audio. The only thing I might say is you might have to play around with your audio settings to get the mix the way you want it. Sometimes the sound effects will be louder than other, as with any other game. But other than that, it's almost a perfect representation of like early 90s games brought into the HD era. And I do think it's a cool gift, especially if you can, if you're looking for something a little extra, that's not, a like crazy, I say crazy, $110 game, as a lot of games are nowadays. It's got a good price point, and I think the challenge is there, but it's accessible enough.
Yeah, like this is a game we both got sent. I liked it so much, I went out and bought it physical.
Nice.
I bought it for the Switch, and I'm not sorry. I think everything you said is absolutely correct. It's a great resurrection of the Shinobi franchise, and like you just said, it is the year of the ninja. So guys, that's going to do it for our stocking stuffers here on the TWIG Holiday Gift Guide. Big thanks to every partner that was able to send stuff in for consideration. And we had so much stuff, so we could have literally done an entire gift guide with just stocking stuffers. So yeah, that should give you an idea on how much stuff we were sent this year. But one of our other partners here on the show also wanted to throw in his 2 cents into the arena here. And we're going to throw things to our good friend from the cold wastelands of Saskatoon. This is going to be JT and his recommendation for the TWIG Holiday Gift Guide 2025.
Hello, ladies and gents. JT from Saskatoon here in 2025's Holiday Gift Guide to let you know my thoughts on 2025's Doom: The Dark Ages. Now, I've been a fan of the franchise ever since I first played Doom 2 back in the days of dial-up internet and Mountain Dew that contained obscene amounts of caffeine. But for those who haven't faced the forces of hell before, the series was rebooted, more like resurrected, by Bethesda Softworks and id Software in 2016 with Doom, followed by Doom Eternal in 2020. So you might think Dark Ages is simply the next in the series, but you'd be mistaken. Dark Ages is actually a prequel to this new series taking place way before the events of Doom 2016. The Slayers locked in an epic metal AF war against the forces of hell on the planet Argent Nur. Aside from the reverse time skip the story pulls, I love this setting. The whole look of the game, from your allies to the hell-spawned enemies, from tech to the weapons, it all feels like you're on the planet Eternia if He-Man and the Masters of the Universe was more Iron Maiden and less Saturday Morning. This world of swords and sorcery really works for the game, which feels a little more open world in a way than previous entries in the franchise. You move just as smoothly, if not more so, as the Slayer. The melee attacks feel like they hit harder than ever, as do all the imps, demons, and assorted hellspawn you face. And how does one face down the armies of hell, I wonder?
Okay, so what do you need? Besides a miracle.
Guns. Lots of guns.
The weapons in Dark Ages are some of the most fun implements of destruction I've ever used in video games. You have the ever-reliable shotgun in regular and super shoddy flavors. You have the plasma pistol, machine guns, grenade launcher, and a gun that grinds up skulls and spits out the pieces like bullets. But the best and possibly most metal weapon is the Slayer Shield. You can lock onto enemies and charge into them. You can use it to destroy obstacles while escaping from locked rooms, and you can Captain America that shield into enemies, taking them out with a chainsaw that's built into it. It's my favorite.
Most metal ever!
What? Don't look at me like it's weird. I'm not the only one. You know who you are. And since Doom 2016, there has been an increased emphasis on searching every level to find secrets and power-ups in the series, and Dark Ages does that so well. They aren't too hard to find, and unlike a lot of the secrets in 2016, with just a little determination and careful maneuvering, you can find and unlock secret rooms containing gold for upgrades, ammos, health potions, and the new life icons. These things act like instant respawns when you inevitably fall in battle. Can only have 3 at a time, so make good use of them. So, if you can't tell from my insane ramblings, I loved this game. Seriously, if you are a fan of the series or just sci-fi first-person shooters in general, get it ASAP. It honestly has been one of the most fun and entertaining games I've played all year, and I just want to take a second to thank Birdman for getting me access to it. You rock, Mike. Now, if you'll excuse me, I gots to get back to ripping and tearing those demons up. Merry Christmas, everyone.
Welcome back to the TWIG Holiday Gift Guide 2025. All right, now it's time to break into the main event right here on This Week in Geek. And we're going to start with me yet again. And this game is the reason why I'm so friggin' tired this morning. We got sent this late for consideration. And as a result, I was up playing this late, but I'm not complaining. Actually. So I'm going to be talking about TMNT Splintered Fate. This comes to us from Super Evil Megacorp, and this is a TMNT roguelite. I hate roguelites. I am so sick of hearing about them, but Ken put the bug in my ear and said, you know what, Mike? You might actually dig this. I'm like, yeah, sure. Whatever, kid. No, he was right. I really like this. I got all the DLC, so I can play as Casey Jones. I can play as Metalhead, who's my preferred player, and then probably Mikey. And it's literally just dying is a mechanic. You're meant to get stronger whenever you go through and collect different collectibles in the environment to upgrade certain abilities. Whether you get more health, your attacks are stronger, or you can collect artifacts that can produce different effects. And it's not boring, especially as you get more and more powerful, your runs become longer. Like when I died first at Leatherhead, thinking, well, this sucks. And then I went through it again, kicked his ass, then I went to the docks and fought Karai, then I made it to the junkyard, and it's such a fun game. I can't believe this began as a mobile game and this is ported over to the consoles. Like, I thought this was gonna suck, and I'm like, man, this is awesome.
It had two strikes against it based on your personal preferences, and you still like it.
Yeah, like, that's awesome. So seriously, TMNT Splintered Fate, amazing. Cannot recommend this enough. Give it a whirl. Even if you think roguelikes suck, I promise you, you're going to have fun with this.
Nice. Going to me, my picks, again, these are not in any particular order. It's sort of the order that came to me when I was putting my list together. You know what I mean?
Same here.
So, don't think that anything here is, better than the other. They're all different. And my stuff covers the gamut from home tech to some games and back and forth again. So my first pick here is actually from TP Link, and it is their Tapo. They always have like names that are hard to go with because they're all like numbered first. Like the C560WS. Basically, it's an outdoor pan and tilt security Wi-Fi camera, and this is something that when I received it for review, I ended up talking about how I hooked it up at my mom's in her backyard, and we were going to see what happened with it. And because a lot of people have doorbell cameras or porch light cameras, that sort of stuff now, but usually it's pretty expensive to get into the ones that can do like tracking and like actually pan and tilt on their own, like you see in like TV and movies for like high-end security systems. Well, that's what this is, only, not nearly as expensive. And we hooked it up, and I can say that, the quality of it was quite good. It picked up what we wanted to pick up. We were able to like, zone out certain areas and be like, hey, don't pay attention to the neighbor's yard. We don't want to invade their privacy. So only pay attention to this zone that you can see within its path. And what was interesting was we did find out that my mom has a visitor. She has a raccoon that comes every night to try to go through her recycling. So it was able to pan around. It was able to pretty much zoom in and get some pretty good pictures. And she's like, I ended up sending to her, I was like, Mom, is it working well? Do you like it? How's it going? And she just said, I know who's going through my trash now. And then, so now she's been, pretty much daily sending me pictures of like, I've got to find a way to get it out of there. But it was perfect. It did exactly what she wanted. And at the price point that it's at, if you're looking for something to upgrade your setup, it's worth getting. And depending on where you're located and like, if it's like provincial or state or whatever, you can actually like look into like lowering the insurance premiums for your place if you put in a decent security camera. So that's something to consider too. So she's actually looking into that, and I was like, oh, okay. So if you're looking for something to upgrade, your own personal security at home, or in my case, your parents or grandparents, it's something to consider.
100%. I'm actually a big fan of the TP-Link stuff when it comes to their security. I still use the one I got a couple of years ago, and invaluable. All right, so this next one comes to us from our friends over at Insight Editions, and this is a cat lover's advent calendar. And I know that sounds a little weird, but we like it so much. Blair, my wife, is actually making me, don't rip the calendar. We're going to use it next year. And so far, we've gotten a morale patch. We've gotten some stickers. We got little notepads today. As we record this, we got some little Christmas card or birthday card type thing. So we're going to give that to some of our friends. And it's cute. Like, I love advent calendars. Obviously, you guys know we have cats with Beaker, Dutch, and Ayla. And obviously my best friend, Dr. Wiley, who passed away a couple of years ago. And it's cute. And since, Blair's a cat lover, Liam's a cat lover, you love my cats, and I can't think of anybody but my friend Jordan, who's like a hardcore dog person. Everybody in my life is like a cat person, and I really think this it scratches the proverbial itch of just having something cute and kind of fun. And yeah, honestly, this is something really cute you could give to a significant other or someone in your life, like, hey, you like these little furry hobgoblins. So I definitely recommend the Cat Lovers Advent Calendar from our friends over at Insight Editions.
Cool, man. For my next pick, we're going back into the realm of tech, specifically computer stuff. Over the last year or two, I've been sent a bunch of stuff from the German company Be Quiet. They make like really cool mid to high end cases and just computer build accessories. And I was sent a bunch of stuff, but what I wanted to highlight from the stuff I was sent this year was the Lightbase 500 LX, which is it's a computer case if you're looking to build a computer from scratch, or much more likely now with the price of RAM and everything going up, if you're looking to do like a lateral move, you're like, hey, I want to future-proof myself by maybe putting in my current motherboard and computer into a newer case that will give me the room to expand beyond when prices stabilize. Because for anybody listening to this, if you've been looking at getting a new computer, the prices,
good luck.
They're going a little crazy right now because of chip prices and NAND prices. So it might be a good idea to take an older computer that's maybe collecting dust or could use a refresh. You get the case now because the cases are at a stable price. You pop your stuff in, and then when the RAM prices can come down and maybe the video card prices come down, you can go with it. If you're looking to get anything else from them, or you're considering, they make some really high quality power supplies and coolers and everything. But I wanted to sort of highlight something that I know is an investment where when you buy a case from them, as long as you're not like smashing into it with a hammer or something, it's so solidly built that you can use it for builds for the next 10, 15 years or more. It's an investment that isn't expensive, but will actually last. So it's that case is actually very pretty. I should send you some pictures, Michael, so you can be like, oh my God. Because you'd be like, I want it, but I don't have room.
Yeah, no, I'm very happy with my microcomputer, but I do miss the scale and the customizability of larger computers.
Yeah. Like if you're looking for, if you're somebody who is very, very space constrained, like yourself, it's not going to be the one for you. But if you're looking to make sort of a statement, and you have the room in like an office, or you want to make it like your media center or in a bedroom or something, you can't really go wrong with their stuff. It's so solidly built, and it just looks classy.
I love that. Now, this next pick from my list, you guys know I love toys, but specifically I love prop replicas of stuff. So Hasbro was kind enough to send over something that I specifically requested because I've always wanted one of these things. And I was very curious to get one in hand, and I was very surprised when I got it. So I'm talking about the Captain America Brave New World, the Shield, the one that is now carried by Sam Wilson. He is Captain America. You don't like it, deal with it. But just having this thing, it feels so cool. Now, I should mention, it is made of plastic, so it's not made of vibranium. I'm sorry. Wakanda tariffs. What are you going to do? But
would you want it to cost $6 billion if it was made out of vibranium?
Yes. But still, it is so cool. Like, it's scaled. And the thing that I was curious about, because Cap's shield has a very distinct looking back, or it looks like leather for the holding, I guess, the straps. They feel like that. Putting on the shield, I actually gave this to Blair. I'm like, how would Captain America throw this thing? Because it's so awkward, but for just a couple seconds, you feel like you are the Sentinel of Liberty themselves. It's so cool. Well, the movie is questionable, but the leader is an awesome bad guy, and I will stand by that. This is pretty friggin' cool. I love Marvel roleplay stuff. It was between this and the Spider-Man Homecoming mask, and let's just say Spidey has ate more burritos in recent years and is not going to be wall crawling, but I could definitely rock a shield all day long. Not kidding. When Avengers Doomsday comes out next year rather, I'm so bringing this to the cinema. I may actually get a fat guy friendly cosplay because I can actually breathe out of the Captain America helmet. So yeah, seriously, Captain America, the Brave New World shield. This is awesome. Recommend. Enough said, as they say.
Going back into gaming, but something a little different, I'm going to talk about the My Arcade Atari Game Station Go. This was something that I saw advertised, I think, at CES 2 years ago, and then it finally released in October. We were sent a press kit. Check our social media and reviews if you want to see that. What is it? It is a handheld from My Arcade, which, in previous years, people have said, they were on like the cusp of being like high quality, but they were still sort of seen as like more the toy thing. Like, they have like they'll theme their little handheld devices based on like Capcom or Mega Man, that sort of stuff, and they'll license and put them on there. But the screens had been of middling quality, and usually they didn't come with a built-in battery. I guess to save money for shipping and that, they would always make it so you had to put double A's. And in the 2010s and 2020s onward, double A replaceables is not something you really want to go for anymore, right? With how cheap lithiums and rechargeables have gotten. Well, this is the first time we were sent one from them that has a built-in rechargeable battery, lithium. You get 5-6 hours of play before you have to recharge it again, and it's in like the form factor almost of like the Game Gear, that size from that back in the day. But what's interesting here, and what really piqued my interest, is it's got a pretty good screen overall. But it's the control scheme. So it's Atari games. There's dozens and dozens of games from Atari 2600, 52, 7800. The only thing it's missing is Atari Lynx, and I guess technically some Jaguar and stuff. But they do give you the option, if you have, if you own the games themselves and you want to sideload them, you can do that, but using an SD card, it just lets you do it. But if you're playing stuff built in. They also like license games from Jalico and Pico Interactive, and I forget the pinball company, some pinball stuff, plus some of the Atari Recharge games that wouldn't normally have played on the lower end handhelds they've done in the past. Well, they include all these games with an interesting interface, plus firmware updates that you can do over the air with Wi-Fi, which is also big plus, right? So you don't have to fiddle around with using USB sticks and stuff to upgrade your tech. It just works. It just checks for an update, and if it has one, it gets it. But the controls, on the right-hand side, it has the full number pad. I remember like the old like Atari 5200 where the controllers had like a keypad almost like a phone would have, right? And it has those controls. It also has a D-pad with your standard buttons and shoulder buttons. And then it also has like a spinner, like the old like paddle spinners for like Pong and that. And also a little roller ball, a little track ball for things that are like bowling or
Missile
if you
command
remember,
sort of thing.
Well, yeah, I was going to say, I was going to mention, remember in Terminator 2 when they're in the arcade at the beginning and they're playing Missile Command? That's, for anybody that is too young to have played it in the arcades, that, arcade games sometimes used to have that. It was bowling or Missile Command, they'd have a trackball you can move around so you could get like full analog degrees of control of where you were placing the pixels essentially to blow up. It has all those included, but the coolest feature of this is not only does it have all these retro games on it, the games that are loaded on it, when you select a game and it loads the game, it has LED lights on all of the buttons and all the controls, and it will only highlight the controls that you need to use. So if the game is one that uses the paddle but not the D-pad, only the paddle will like light up. And if it's a game that uses like multiple control schemes, it'll flash and highlight each one and going, you can use either of these. And if it's a game that only uses like an old school Atari game that only uses one button, only one button on the face buttons will highlight and be like, this is the only button you need to press. And I was like, that's something I'd not seen before. It was really cool. So it's priced accordingly, depending on where you get it on sale. It's going to be anywhere from $150 to $200. Depending on region specific, right? But the fact that it includes all that, it's built pretty solid overall. The only thing you might want to have to get in the aftermarket that doesn't appear to come with, or they don't seem to make it either, is you might want to get a protective case. But that's the kind of thing where you can look on Amazon or somewhere and there'll be a soft cover case or bag or something you can get if you want to store it. But outside of that, they basically thought of everything, and that's why I wanted to include it, because it's got basically all the controls you would pretty much ever want for anything Atari or arcade based.
Very nice. My next pick on our holiday gift guide comes from our friends over at Razer, and I'm specifically highlighting their Pokemon collection. I know, big surprise. As you guys know, I am an avid Pokemon Go player. I love the Pokemon franchise with ZA just coming out recently. I figured, this is kind of a good time to maybe look at the older Pokemon stuff that Razer put out, and I have gotten a lot of keyboards this year, and the keyboard that has stayed in my everyday has been the Pokemon keyboard. I have the Pokemon mouse pad on my desk, and whenever I go out and do stuff in public, I'm still using my Pokemon Cobra Edition mouse. Seriously, when Razer does a collaboration, it's going to be fantastic. Like, I was a big fan of their Minecraft stuff earlier this year. They did a Sanrio one that you took a look at. If you want to hear my full reviews, I did that earlier. But seriously, the Pokemon collaboration from Razer, it's really something special. If you are a fan of the Kanto region of Pokemon, which is Pokemon Yellow, Green, and Blue, you should definitely check this out. But seriously, my Pokemon keyboard, you will have to pry this from my cold, dead hands. That's how much I like this keyboard. Thanks, Beaker, for being a Chaos Goblin. He's knocking stuff over. I'm so glad he does this during a live show.
Well, you know what? I'll take over
do.
next. We're getting into my section where I'm going to be talking about different games. Very quickly, I just wanted to mention Sonic Racing Cross Worlds. It's the kart racing arcade game that I wanted, but another company didn't provide. Read into that what you will. It is one of the most fun arcade, family-based racers that come out in years. And the big deal here is they're going to be supporting it with collaborations going forward from like Pac-Man, Mega Man, and a whole bunch like SpongeBob and all. They're doing a lot of good collaborations with different companies out there. They're fun. Is it the most original game in the world? No. It's a refined, fun arcade racer, and that's really all I have to say to that. If you're looking for something that the whole family can play, this is going to be it.
I like that. All right, so for my pick, this is going to be something that we actually kind of touched upon a couple of weeks ago in our last news show of the year. And I'm going to be talking about Power Rangers Through the Shattered Grid. This is a source book for the TTRPG, and this basically covers the Boom Studio comics. Shattered Grid is what got me back into the Power Rangers franchise hardcore, Alex. If you remember a couple of years ago, back in 2016, I think when the run started, they killed Tommy. And what happened is this evil...
I remember you sending me a message late night when you were up real late. You just said they killed Tommy, and I was like, "Who's Tommy?" Because you didn't say who. Like, I thought you were watching the news and somebody of your friends had died.
Yeah, no. When the Boom Studios comic adapted Shattered Grid, it was a big change in the Power Rangers franchise. It changed how serious the storylines could be told, and this evil incarnation of Tommy Oliver, known as Lord Draken, had forged a world where he stayed evil. He killed Rita Repulsa, he had decapitated Saba, his talking sword, and he had created... Yeah, and he created this evil world called the Coinless. He even brainwashed Kimberly into his own personal assassin known as the Ranger Slayer. And even Bulk and Skull are heroes. Skull is an undercover Tyrannosaur sentry in that world. So he's a Power Ranger, and Bulk is this resistance fighter. So through the Shattered Grid,
as we know, people forget, and if you weren't a big avid fan like we were when we were kids, the real heroes of Power Rangers is Bulk and Skull.
Yeah, and it's actually really true because they have a real arc throughout the show.
But they last the longest out of they last longer than almost every Ranger.
Yeah, like they go through Mighty Morphin to the end of In Space. They even make appearances through like Samurai and
they
other
become
shows.
Freedom fighters in space.
Yeah, I mean, it's amazing. So Through the Shattered Grid allows you to play in the world of the Coinless, which is a more brutal world where not every Power Ranger survived. And if you want to really take the fight to Lord Draken and travel the dimensional grid of the Morphin Grid, this is awesome. Seriously, Renegade Game Studios, whoever does a lot of their writing for any of their IPs, be it G.I. Joe, Transformers, My Little Pony, etc., any of the licensed IPs, there is such love and dedication put into these books. It's hard to not recommend them. So seriously, Power Rangers Through the Shattered Grid, the TTRPG source book, is a wonderful addition to your more phenomenal collection.
I'm just going to mention my next pick, which is Clear Obscure Expedition 33. As of this recording, very likely to win Game of the Year pretty much everywhere.
Yeah.
There are physical editions you can order online if you're looking for it digitally. It's great because it's not the same full price that you usually pay for a retail game, and it just happens to be one of the best, probably top 10 best JRPG style RPG games of the last 25 years.
And that's the one made by the French team, right?
Yeah, Samfall Interactive, mostly former Ubisoft devs that decided to leave when they wanted more creative freedom. Now it's about 40 people or so, but that's the core group, and then the rest, obviously they hired people to do QA and stuff, but considering their budget and that, one of the most inventive creative games I've ever played. And I don't want to go down the road of just talking about it forever, just to say that there's a reason it's considered the best game of the year in most people's eyes, and I do think that you'll probably like it. It is an emotional journey, so it has heavy themes involved. It is, I described it initially as, it's French, infinitely French. And if you're Canadian, and I'm not saying French Canadian, if you're just Canadian, you'll know what I mean by infinitely French. It's just the themes and feel. It doesn't mean that it's Quebecois French. It's just if you know French literature and French art, it is infinitely French.
I'm hoping the talking pineapple is a hidden boss.
Well, see, that's what I mean. It's not Quebecois, right? So it's Parisian. It's Parisian French. It's much more person with a beret, smoking a cigarette, eating a baguette, and contemplating the meaning of life than Denana teaching people how to ask for directions at a gas station in French.
I love it. That sounds awesome. My next pick is going to come from the Star Trek Adventures role-playing game done by Modifius. Now, this is a book I did not work on, but Aaron Paulier did in a future interview, Al Spader, and this is the second edition technical manual. And it's exactly what it sounds like. It's a tech manual to add into your Star Trek Adventures game. But what I want to highlight, why this made my pick for Holiday Gift Guide, it's representation. Now, when I was originally hired to write Star Trek, I was given the directive of IDIC, Infinite Diversity and Infinite Combinations. And the section on Starfleet Medical in this book literally made me choke up for a minute. And this is why. They talk about wheelchairs in the future. So they're not all Captain Picard or Captain Pike life support chairs. They have ordinary manual wheelchairs. And in the book, they explain why. They're like, well, if power fails, you go through a friggin' nebula or something, you may not have power to your cool, awesome devices. You might have minimal life support. So if you need to get a patient through a hallway, you're going to need wheels.
There might also be religious reasons that you would not want. Like, there are people that be like, I'm not allowed, due to my religious beliefs, to have corrective surgery.
Yes, and there's one piece of artwork that really stuck out to me. So there is a piece of artwork where someone is getting fitted for an artificial leg, and you see how it attaches to a limb, and that reminded me of when I was in the discussions. I ultimately was not able to get an artificial leg. That's the process of how it's done. And I was like, I actually spoke very briefly with the person who wrote this on Facebook. And I'm like, you have no idea how much that makes me feel seen. And it's such a wonderful book. So if you've ever wanted to know how does Klingon tech work, Cardassian, even Borg stuff, it's a really great resource. And honestly, it's just a fascinating read to see how the future technology of Star Trek works out. But ultimately, the technical manual, I think, is a must-have for game masters. And even if you're playing the Captain's Log solo RPG, I know Jim and Michael Dismuke did an entire episode on the technical manual and how you could integrate that into your Captain's Log game. So that's really outstanding. So the second edition technical manual for Star Trek Adventures is absolutely 100% worth it.
Nice, dude. For me, I'm just picking Super Mario Galaxy and Galaxy 2, the, I guess, collected on Switch. Previously, obviously, people talked about how Galaxy 1 was included with that limited edition, was it Super Mario 3D All-Stars game that they did years ago? And that was basically a pure...
port-ish?
Sorta?
Port
adjacent? It was like a direct translation, whereas this there is improved graphics. Like, they've done some texture filtering, they redrew some stuff. It's more of a remaster for the first game, and then the first time the second game's ever been ported over. It's a good collection, and I mean, what's more to say for Mario other than, like, this is the Mario game this year. Obviously, I could have included the Donkey Kong Bonanza, and I had heavily considered including that.
That's such a good game.
The only reason I didn't was, I'm thinking not everybody has the Switch 2 yet, and if you're getting a Switch 2, generally you're probably buying either Pokemon or you're getting like the Mario Kart bundle if it's still there, and you're likely getting Bonanza anyway. But you might not have considered this. But for those people, like 100+ million people that have the original Switch, this is great because it's Switch 1 game that works perfect on Switch 2, and you can't really, if you're looking to buy stuff for any family member, you can't really go wrong with Mario, right? So I was like, this is a good collection that somebody could just pick up and be like, it's a safe bet that whoever gets it is going to like it.
Yeah, 100%. Plus, with the Super Mario Galaxy movie coming out next April, maybe you should find out what the story is.
And there was some little extras they put in, like they added some chapters to the storybook within the game, and they've even done like some physical tie-ins. You can buy the storybook. There's a bunch of cool stuff. So it's something you could, pick if you want to pick up some amiibos or something, pair them together, or pick it up with something else. It is the go-to solid pick, I think, for most people.
I absolutely agree. My next pick, once again, comes to us from Hasbro, but this one's a little bit different. So this is the Transformers Takara Tomy Missing Link. This is the C5 edition of Sunstreaker. And this is important to note for me because Sunstreaker was the literal first Transformer I ever owned. And it's based upon the Lamborghini Countach with the super cool jet engine in the back. This is the yellow brother of Sideswipe. Most famously, where their tech specs got mixed up, and Sideswipe was supposed to have Sunstreaker's powers and vice versa. So instead, Sunstreaker got Sideswipe's kind of profile. But having this in hand, it is literally having the G1 toy in my hand again, but with modern engineering. So I'm getting modern articulation. I got double jointed knees. If I want to replace the fists from articulated fists to the more classic big and bulky kind of boxing glove, that's really awesome. I've got missiles that I can detach from a rack if I want. The stickers are not stickers. They're painted on details. And just holding this in my hand, I was like, I'm 5 years old again. And I didn't expect to like the Missing Link stuff as much as I did. Now, there's the mini bots. There's the new Ultra Magnus that'll be coming out, I think, early next year. But I had to pick Sunstreaker. But you can also get Cordon, which is the police car variant of this as well. But I had to pick the brash and beautiful Sunstreaker as my pick. And I gotta say, it was great to go back to 1985 again.
Nice. My next pick is Dragon Quest 1 and 2 HD 2D remake. Solid set if you're looking to get RPGs to introduce to like young kids. Everything in this is family friendly, visually stunning. The first game is a little expanded in that there's more to it than because the original game on the NES, that for those of you that were a subscriber to Nintendo Power got a free copy of in like 1989 or whatever.
I was one of those guys.
Or if you're like me and you found 100,000 copies of them over the years at garage sales for $3 or $4 a piece, and that's how I played it. Fun fact: when I was learning to read in like kindergarten, it was one of the games we were playing, and I had a hard time because of the old English, the way it was written, right? But it was one of the few games where I had to learn to read with my little friends to try to play back in the day. So it was technically my first RPG before I knew what an RPG was. But that first game here has been expanded that pretty much anybody can play it, because if you got a small kid that's interested in playing with you, but you're worried about it being too hard, you can turn it down to the Draki mode, the easiest mode, and you cannot die. And for some people that are like, oh, it's not challenging enough, but you can just set it to whatever difficulty you want. But if you set it to the lowest difficulty and your HP goes to 0 in battle, it will always stay at 1 HP. So to do the base game, you can still get through it. So a kid that's learning the basics will never have to worry about losing their progress. And then if you want to racket it up to like real hard, you can do real hard and go on from there. So for that reason alone, mixed with just the visuals and the nostalgic feel for me, it's a good set, I think, that a lot of people would like.
Yeah, I would definitely second you on that. It was one of my first RPGs. And now that I know there is the I don't have to die setting.
Yeah. I have many terms for those settings that are not going to be the most family friendly on here.
But hey, just the fact that it's there.
A lot of times, if I get frustrated, I'll just say what I'll be like, oh, I'm so frustrated. It's the game's too difficult. I better put it on the easy mode or the
story mode,
the baby mode. I'll put it on there, and sometimes I'll do that to get through a really hard battle in a game if I'm just not vibing with it. And then when I'm done, you can change the difficulty whatever you want and just put it back up to normal or hard.
I like it. All right, so my next pick, I did talk about this on my holiday gift guide for TTRPGs if you want a more full review of this, but this is the Aliens Evolved Core Rulebook. This is the game that was kickstarted earlier this year. I personally backed, but was also sent a review copy of this. This is sort of, I would call it the Aliens 1.5 edition of the rules, with changes to armor, how combat works, and just a lot of quality of life changes where things feel a lot better. Synthetics no longer have infinite ammo. When you look at how the rules were originally presented, it's a fantastic book. Seriously, the team with Thomas and all the team over at Free League Publishing have done an outstanding job handling this IP. I mean, we've had a lot of hits from the Alien world in the last year and change. We had Alien Romulus last year. We just finished Alien Earth a couple of months ago. Predator Badlands is still in theaters as of right now. Really hope they find a way to get the Predator license integrated into here. But seriously, it's amazing. You can get source books that are still compatible with this, like Building Better Worlds, Colonial Marines, which are being updated to this. And if you can spot the Easter eggs in these books, you're in for such a treat. Seriously, the Aliens Evolved TTRPG is one of the most solid licensed IPs I've ever seen, and I'm really looking forward to getting a group together to demo this at a convention here in Guelph next year.
Nice, man. For, I believe what'll be my last video game pick, I picked Pac-Man World 2 Repack.
Ooh, nice pick.
It came a little later for us to check out, but it was for gift guide consideration, and I turned it on. And the particular version that I had included the expansion and DLC, so it had like the Sonic levels added to it, because they're doing that crossover with Sonic Cross World. So it's interesting how they're doing that back and forth. And I never played the original Pac-Man World games when they were on like PS1, PS2 era. So for me, this was all new, and I went, oh, this is actually really fun. And I played it, it's on basically every platform, but I played it on Switch 2. And even on Switch 2, you have like no stuttering or anything with the graphics. Like it's very well optimized. If you're looking for, a platformer that's a little different, that isn't a Mario game, or looking for something to complement it, I do think that, Pac-Man's due for a new game like this. Honestly, like if it's World 4 that comes out, or a new invention of it, I do think it's about time for Pac-Man to have his resurgence. And Pac-Man, World 2 Repack, and then obviously if you wanted to go back and play the game that came out before, Pac-Man World 1, both are available on most platforms. But if you're looking for something for Switch 2 especially, that is going to, take advantage of the better hardware that even in portable mode plays at like 60 FPS, no issues, Pac-Man World 2 is good. And again, family friendly. You're not going to have any issues. There's voice acting in it. The camera angles are fun. It's sort of a nostalgic throwback to something from like 20 years ago, but it still feels like a modern game, at its core.
Yeah, I would agree. I was also sent this for review or for gift guide consideration. I really like it too. It's nice to see the Pac-Man IP finally getting the respect it deserves. Much like you, I do agree. I hope we get another Pac-Man game sometime in the future.
Yeah.
Like, just give me something that isn't like a coin redemption game in an arcade. Give me a proper platformer.
Because there's still Pac-Man World 3, so I'm assuming that hopefully this does well and we get a third, remake, remaster of that. But then after that, all I can think of wasn't there was it Pac-Man and the Ghostly or Ghastly something or other? There were 2 games on like the 360 era, and then I think that was it. We haven't really seen like a proper platformer Pac-Man since then. So, fingers crossed that these sell well enough that we end up getting more, because I think it's going to be like, it could be like a sleeper hit. So if you see it on sale, it's worth picking up for sure.
Oh yeah, 100%. The next thing I'm going to pick is something a little bit different. This is something that my wife actually did, but based upon my personal tastes. This comes to us from Inside Editions. This is the Persona, the official cookbook. My wife was going to make a lot more recipes out of this. Unfortunately, she's dealing with a massive ear problem, and hopefully her ear doesn't pop. But she was able to cook some stuff out of this. And the one I remember, I think, comes from Persona 4, which, yes, I'm working through, Alex, just so you know. She made me onigiri. And onigiri I never had before, but my wife, she went out, she got the seaweed, she got the tuna, she made sushi rice, and I'm thinking, all right, I don't know what this is. Honestly, I just wanted the Persona 5 curry. Finally.
For those that don't know, when you watch like Pokemon or any of the cartoons from the 90s, like, and they would be like, oh, I want a donut. And then they would like redraw. Was it 4Kids TV used to do that? They would take all the Japaneseisms out. Like onigiri is like, they're like, well, what's close to that in America? Oh, donuts. It's nothing like a donut, but they treated it like it was that. So like whenever you see a cartoon from the 90s, an anime where they're like eating donuts, just know that it was probably, erased and replaced with that, because originally it would have been onigiri.
Yeah, and it's so ridiculously good. And again, any of these official cookbooks are really fun. The fact that they gave us the official LeBlanc curry recipe is really awesome, and I've been bugging my wife to make variants of this for years. So now that she's not 3/4 on the doorstep of death, she's going to be making me Persona curry. Actually, you know what? When you come over for clown visit, we're having Persona curry.
We should probably tell listeners that I'm the clown, apparently.
Yes. Oh yeah, that's right.
Because apparently I make him laugh and happy, so I'm the clown. So when I come over, it's a clown visit.
Yeah, we have a lot of strange nicknames for each other. But yeah, seriously, the Persona cookbook, again, made with someone who clearly identifies with the franchise. I think it's really kind of kick-ass. So Persona 4 and 5 are the games I'm most familiar with. So I'm definitely going to be checking out stuff like that. So
I don't know if they have one yet, but hopefully this does well enough. If they don't have one already, I'd like to see one of just like all the different coffee drinks. Because that was the other thing that you remember in the 5th game was it wasn't just the food, it was the different types of coffee and international hot drinks that they had in the game. So
there are drinks and desserts in this. So
there are. Okay, so that's even better.
Yeah, exactly. So it's pretty kind of kick-ass. So again, if you ever want to channel your inner shadows and fight the personas in palaces and all that type of shit, definitely the Persona cookbook is definitely worth checking out from our friends over at Insight Editions.
And I've got a very quick one here. We're switching around a little bit to board games. I already did a highlight feature of board game stuff in your TTRPG guide that we have already out on the site. Go and look at that if you're looking for more in-depth stuff specifically. But I have one I wanted to mention here, and that is The Hobbit, There and Back Again. Asmodee sent this over, put it out. I had not ever played any Lord of the Rings style games that weren't video games, unquote, right? So this is a game that's 1 to 4 players. They recommend ages 10 plus. It takes about a half hour to play, maybe a little longer depending on how you work with it. But it is a team play game. So, it says 1 to 4 players. It's better played in teams of 2, essentially. But it is a solid, just a really fun adaptation of, The Hobbit and the whole Bilbo's journey. And it's dice based. There's dry erase markers and tokens for keeping track. It's a little more in depth than like, it's not your shoots and ladders sort of board game, but it is something that you can just pop out and play it within a half an hour. It's not hard to learn. I won't go into too much detail here because this isn't the place for it. But if you're looking for a gift that's a little different for the Lord of the Rings fan in your family, maybe consider The Hobbit There and Back Again board game.
All right. My pick is actually going to be in an appliance we got from our friends over at Ninja. And you could use this for Christmas stuff, but I'm actually seeing people use this for New Year's because everybody usually has a potluck around New Year's Eve or something. So what I'm going to be talking about is the Ninja Foodie Possible Cooker. So my wife got this, and the first day she got it, she's like, Mike, I'm making bone broth. I'm like, all right, cool, awesome. Now, it turns out she's actually replaced a lot of stuff in our kitchen with this. So you can use this thing as like a slow cooker, a steamer, a food warmer, a nonstick pot, a saute pan, a cast iron skillet, a saucepan, a stock pot, and even more. Now, she likes it so much, she actually yeeted our pressure cooker out in the garbage. She's like, I cast thee into the pits of Mount Doom. And I'm like, Whoa there, Blair. Maybe take it a little bit easy. But she's in love with this thing. The fact that you can take the pod out, put it in the oven to up to 500 degrees. So, and it's so small, Alex, you could literally take this with the pot and the thing attached at the bottom, and you can bring this to a party and it can keep stuff warm and cooked at the same time. Yeah, I was like, this is like the ultimate thing to bring to potlucks. I can see cookouts using this. I could see this being awesome for anybody who has their first apartment. Like, I'm surprised how good a lot of the Ninja stuff is at replacing, here's 10 gadgets. No. Here's like one. So seriously, the Ninja Foodie Everyday Possible Cooker Pro, you're not going to need a whole lot of crap in your kitchen if you've got this. Seriously, it's wicked. Cannot recommend it enough. And I am the beneficiary of all the delicious food that comes out of this thing.
Bonus. My next pick here, I couldn't pick between two. Like, Fujifilm has sent us over the last year a few different devices, and I usually talk about their Instax printers or cameras, and there's two models this year. There's the Mini 41 and then the Mini Evo. Interchangeable. Basically, I put them both here simply because they're at different price points. Depending on if they're on sale or not, one's about 30 to 40% more than the other, but you might get slightly better features. But we've gone from having the instant camera, re-revolution, I guess, when they brought them back as, we grew up with Polaroids, right? And what they do now is their digital camera essentially that then prints on specific paper or specific cartridges on the fly. But usually you get sometimes you get the ones that just do pure instant, and then you have the ones now where you can choose it to make any changes to it before it actually prints. And that's sort of what these guys are, but they also have a much better design and feel. They look and feel like cameras from like the 1950s or 60s. You remember the old cameras that you see like where they had like the leatherette on the outside and that textured outside, like you see like almost like a James Bond would use or something.
Yeah.
They're like that. They're solid. They have, depending on the model, Wi-Fi built in, so you could send pictures to your phone, and
what?
You could do some quick editing on it and then send it back and print. They just added a whole bunch of features. So if you're looking for something, for the photo bug in the family, or for somebody that it's an instant camera that like I could give to my mom who's not tech literate really at all, and she'd be perfectly fine using it just as is. Or if you're somebody who's a little more into photography, you could give it to them and they could really, dig deep into it and mess around. So I wanted to include them both here because they're good and they're just at different price points, right? So depending on if they're on sale, I can't say what the exact price is because the kind of things that fluctuate, but keep an eye out. They're more than $100, but less than 200, if that makes sense. So they're still in that sweet spot of a really cool gift for somebody.
I like it. All right, so my next second to last pick is going to be something coming to us from Shark, and this is the Flex Breeze Table Mate fan. You might be thinking, a fan? Okay, why? It's a USB-C chargeable fan, and it's nice that it doesn't have a cord, but it comes with a remote control, and this thing can push air up to like 70 feet. If you're willing to keep it on like low settings, this thing will last like 24 hours. I used it as a table fan, just because our apartment turns into basically the pits of hell, just due to poor insulation in our building. And I was surprised how cool this, I was cold having this thing, kind of blow on me. This is going to be awesome during the summer. I'm so surprised by how portable it is. It's probably, I don't even know how to describe its size. It's small enough to be portable, but not large enough to be obstructive. But I am going to say you can't put this thing on your desk and have a bunch of other crap. Like if you put it on your desk and have it blow on you, you're going to be remarkably cool. It's also pretty quiet too. It's kind of surprised me. But no, seriously, the Shark Flex Breeze Table Mate fan, just the fact that it's rechargeable, I think is really kind of awesome. It charges fairly quickly too. And just the amount of air this thing can move and keep you cool, that's pretty neat, honestly. I think this is going to be great for small spaces, especially, but even just as an everyday fan to have in your living room on rotate and on a really low setting, it's going to push a lot more air than you think it might.
Awesome, man. For me, I've just got a very quick one here. Not much to say on it, but there's the Buki My First Drawings, which is a set I talked about in the Black Friday deals. And basically, we don't usually have a ton of stuff that we talk about for the kids under the age of 5 or 6, but this is an ages 3 and up. If you're looking, in past years, I've done this for like my little cousins or when I have friends that have little kids, where I'll put together like a little art set of like, here's a coloring book and crayons and different kid-friendly art sets and stickers and stuff all together. Well, this does basically everything for you. It's a set that has a little bit of everything. That's like, here to give the kid for the first time when they're getting creative. Here's your first art set that is completely kid-friendly. No permanent dyes or chemicals or anything. All kid safe, and it just a little more presentable than me going down to the dollar store and grabbing a bunch of random crap and putting it in a bag. It's just a well-presented kid set that, even for parents out there, and we all know them, where they're like, I don't want video games or movies for my kids. I don't want them to have anything violent. I don't want them. Nobody can say no to an art set.
Yeah, exactly.
And, you know what I'm saying? Nobody can say no to kids having their first creative art set. So if you're looking for somebody to get something for somebody who maybe the parents are picky, or you're just unsure of what the kids are into, every kid loves to draw. So that's why I wanted to include this here.
I think that's a very, very smart choice. So for my final pick this year, this one once again comes to us from Hasbro. And I originally got to review the Transformers Jinrai earlier this year, which is my first true masterpiece grade Transformer. And that's based upon Power Master Optimus Prime, who comes out of the Headmaster series. But it turns out there's another version that can combine with Jinrai. So in the Japanese Headmaster series, there's another character called God Bomber who attaches to the back of Jinrai's trailer and creates like this kind of super long Optimus Prime like truck. So God Bomber came to me. So this is Transformers Masterpiece Grade 14 God Bomber, and he combines with Jinrai. And it's such an intuitive design, but what I really like about it too, it just has all the little details. You can actually put the pilots from the show in God Bomber's chest. Neat. Yeah, I was like, that's very Diaclone-esque. I dig that. And the fact that you can display God Bomber as his own character, awesome, cool. He's got that big double dealer-esque shoulder cannon. But if you want to combine him with Optimus and create Super God Jinrai, that is... There's no other way to say this is fucking awesome. Like, it is so cool to have a masterpiece grade. Like, again, anything that Takara Tomy does, it's a master of engineering. Like, I'm not saying like Hattori Hanzo came down from the afterlife and mastercrafted the Transformer, but not far off. I am so astounded by the engineering of some of the Transformers I've taken a look at this year. I'm going to be covering a lot more Transformers in our holiday gift guide last minute edition, which Alex is going to put out later on this week. But anything I've covered in this gift guide has been stuff that is a marvel of engineering. Yes, you're going to pay for it, but you are paying for quality beyond what you might expect. And third-party Transformers can be of different grades of quality. And even Hasbro Takara Tomy has had quality control issues. But when it comes to masterpiece Transformers, I find the quality issues are less. They are more consistent. And especially with the Jinrai and the God Bomber set, it's amazing. Like, I don't think this thing is going to rattle apart. That's what I really like about it. And when you combine the two, he's as tall as the Age of the Primes combiners.
Oh, wow.
Or I want to say he's maybe a little bit taller than Transformers Legacy Menasor. And that's a big chonky boy. So seriously, I'm looking forward to assembling this again and again. I'm going to post pictures on my social media at some point this holiday season. If Beaker will leave the parts alone, I'm looking at you, you little orange homunculus.
You know, you may think as a listener that he's always picking on Beaker. It's just that
he's orange.
Dutch is a much nicer boy.
Yeah, Dutch is very chill. He just sits there and demands to be petted because, like, look at me, I'm a toasted marshmallow. And Ayla's like, hi, daddy, kiss, 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 kiss. And Beaker's like, ooh, look, shiny. What can I get into today?
When I come over for a clown visit, I'll walk in and Dutch will be there looking at me, just staring at me. I'll put my shoes down. He'll walk over to my shoes, take a sniff, sit in front of me, but on the ground. Won't ever come up to say hi, but he'll be looking at me. Ayla hides. She used to come up and cuddle with me, but she's now getting an old grumpy lady. Doesn't like that I don't visit enough. And then Beaker will come up and he'll be like, hey, love me. And then he'll hop up on my face and then decide to try to smother me. And then he decides to try to eat my feet and eat anything on my backpack that has a string on it. And then he'll try to pull my headphones out of my pocket and chew on them. And he's a murder goblin, essentially.
He really is. I love my little orange flavored bag of rocks, and but
he has the eyes where he's looking at you, but there's nobody home, and there's just a glisten of saying, what can I destroy next? But love me anyway.
Yeah. My friend Tiffany, who I play Pokemon Go with, she's like, there's nothing going on between those eyes. And that is so aggressively accurate. All right. So before we close out today's show, we're going to send it to one more Twig.
Wait, I still have
one more.
Oh,
that's right. You still got one more. That's right. I'm sorry. You almost got away with it.
I know. And to tie it in with what I talked about earlier in the stocking stuffers, is from Turtle Beach. I have their Racer wireless racing wheel, which is for the Xbox and PC. What's cool here, Mike, and this is something, at some point, maybe not for the visit that I come over next, but maybe after that, I'll bring it. It is, you've seen like racing wheels for consoles where they have all the wires and everything. Mm-hmm. This is the first one I've ever encountered that was truly wireless. It has a built-in rechargeable battery, so it charges up. It has like a little dongle you can connect to PC to go through its wireless connection that way. You can also do Bluetooth to a phone, or the dongle also goes in the Xbox and it works there. And so it's a steering wheel. It doesn't have the pedals on the ground, so you don't need to worry about that. It just has like the pedals, or I guess the tabs are on the steering wheel itself. So the right one is the accelerator, the left one is the brake, and it pairs with basically any racing game that's a modern game on Windows or on Xbox. And it has like all the face buttons, and it has a D-pad so you can navigate, using it as a regular controller if you need to as well on the front. But what's cool is it has two little metal legs that you can put on the bottom that attach and sort of give it I guess like a circular L shape, and that is meant so you can use it on your legs or your lap if you're sitting somewhere where, in a living room. But if you're sitting at a desk, those legs detach and you can actually clamp the steering wheel onto the table in front of you. So it's versatile to go anywhere. So you could use it at your little battle station there even. Or if you're laying down or in bed, you could just have it on top of you and steer it. And it has all the standard features you'd expect on a steering wheel. The big feature here being that it has like zero latency, even though it's wireless, and it's pretty sweet. So I was actually using it to test around with that F125 game I talked about at the beginning of the show here. Pretty fun. It's been a long time. The last time I had a racing wheel, dude, was like N64 or PS1 maybe. Oh, wow. It's been like a long time, and I always avoided it because,
wires.
You had to have wires going everywhere. Like, so I'm thinking, oh, this is neat. So they sent that for me to check out, and I was like, this is really sweet, man. So hopefully there's more like this to come out in the future, right? Not just for PC, and that maybe Turtle Beach will do one for Switch or for PlayStation or something at some point. It would be interesting to see. But as it stands, it's solid. I like the idea that it works on PC, works on Xbox or on Android/iOS.
That's pretty kick-ass. Hopefully these guys will do a flight stick. I think that'd be pretty awesome.
They've got a whole bunch of that stuff, but I don't know if they particularly have like this exact same, completely wireless one yet. We'll see. I'll keep an eye on their stuff, and we'll be in touch with them as we go, because if you're looking for a complete unit, also, it's less than $200, and if that still sounds high to you, my good sir, have not seen what racing wheels can go for some of the high-end stuff.
Yeah,
like they're $400 or $500 per piece. You know what I mean? It's like, oh my god, this, if you're looking for a really good entry-level wheel that isn't like cheap garbage, this is really solidly built. You can get it, depending on if it's on sale, for less than $200.
I like it. All right, guys. So once again, we are going to take a small break here before we close things out here on the show. We're going to throw things to one of our other contributors here. You may have heard him on Loose Cannon and Random Access Memories, aka Ram. This is going to be Ken and his picks for the holiday gift guide. And when we come back, we'll talk about the year end and our well wishes for 2025. We'll be back, guys, right after this.
Hey guys, Ken Reels here, and welcome to my portion of this year's holiday gift guide. And yeah, it's been a full year. Got some really interesting titles and pieces for you guys to check out and possibly gift for people in your life that are more my style of gaming. And so, I want to also give a shout out to some of the partners that came in and gave us codes for these titles, as well as just a general thank you to everyone who did send code, even if you are not part of this gift guide. So the first on my list is for the anime fan in you, and this is Demon Slayer Kimetsu no Yaiba: The Hinokami Chronicles 2, and this is the PC version that was given by the folks over at Sega and CyberConnect, and this is the sequel to the first Hinokami Chronicles, which is the arena fighter / exploration game based on the Demon Slayer anime. And this is basically, you get to play through the events of the Entertainment District, Swordsmith, and Hashira training arcs of the anime. This is your standard arena battler with occasional exploration elements. You mainly play as Tanjiro, with select moments where you get to play other members of the Demon Slayer Corps. This new game adds a gear system and ultimate move to further enhance the action within the game. And in terms of difficulty, the game is perfectly fine to button mash in like most of the arena battles, so I'd recommend this to any casual fans of the anime who play the occasional game, as well as video game heavy players who want a light game that doesn't entirely need that super lock-in gamer time kind of mode. And the game is also available on all major platforms, including Nintendo Switch, where you can run it on Nintendo Switch 2 in backwards compatibility mode. The game is a full price title at $60 retail, but Sega has been discounting it at major retailers and digital storefronts between anywhere from 30 to 40% off for the holiday season, and at the discounted pricing, it is a nice pickup for anyone looking for a little lower end video game for some anime fan in your life. The next title on my gift guide is the Persona 3 Reload. Now, this game did come out last year. However, there are some added benefits that came out very recently. Obviously, this is developed by Atlas and published by Sega. Thank you, Sega, for sending me a PC code. And it is a remake from the ground up of the original Persona 3 for the PS2 in the Unreal Engine. Why am I throwing this into the gift guide? This year, Sega and Atlas went and added 8 original Persona 3 tracks as a free update for users on non-Nintendo platforms, as well as dropping this said game on Nintendo Switch 2. So if you have someone who hasn't already picked up Persona 3 Reload on their respective platform, or you have a new Nintendo Switch 2 user who is trying to find new titles to pick up for the console, this will give you a fun dose of nostalgia, as well as being able to play one of the more historic RPGs of the PS2 era in a new light with more modern controls and updated graphics. And the third item on my gift guide is Elden Ring Night Rain. Now, if you've listened to my review for it previously a couple of weeks ago, This is developed by From Software and published by Bandai Namco. Thank you, Bandai Namco, for sending me an Xbox code. And as previously stated in my review for the game a few weeks ago, this is a Fortnite-styled pick-up-and-play run-based Souls game. With the holiday rolling around and the major DLC drop happening pretty much as of this recording soon, no better time to pick this up for the Soulsborne fan in your life, especially if you pick up the deluxe edition of the game, which is at $55 USD price point, which comes with the DLC entitlement when it drops, or if it will come with that DLC. And the next title is the folks over at Konami sent over a code for Silent Hill F. And this is developed by the folks over at Neobards Entertainment. And this is a new entry in the Silent Hill franchise taking place in 1960s rural Japan. You're playing as the teenager Hinako as she deals with some extremely traumatic events of her current and past life experiences in traditional Silent Hill fashion. The game plays almost like a Souls game in combat, more so than even some of the older games in the franchise, and the puzzle elements of the game can easily be mitigated by not only its own difficulty selector, but also the newly added casual mode, especially as the game has been built that completing it the first time is not the end of the journey, and it expects you to complete it multiple times in order to get the true ending. The physical version of the game, as well as the digital version of the game, has been discounted 20-30% off for the most part of its $70 price tag for the holidays as of the recording right now. And the Xbox version of the game is a Play Anywhere title offering dual ownership on PC as well as Xbox. If you have a horror fan in your life, this is a title you probably should pick up and gift to them, because this is something special. If they don't already have this, definitely a nice recommend. And the last is for the anime fan who likes physical media, specifically the Wolf Children 4K Steelbook. Now, this is the 2012 film directed by Mamoru Hosoda and distributed by G-Kids in partnership with Shout Factory. And this is the first time this feature has ever been released on 4K UHD. Special features are really nothing to go by, very small, minor things at most. You have like a half hour of bonus material. Really, the major attraction is the ability to watch this in 4K in the best possible presentation. And honestly, as a physical media nut and an anime collector, this is a solid recommendation. There are also some of the other Hosoda features that have been put onto 4K Steelbooks as well, so if you want to pick those up, or if you want to just pick up Wolf Children, which is my personal favorite of his, this is definitely one I would recommend. The 4K Steelbook is exclusive to Amazon and is currently hovering around a $31 price tag. Honestly, totally worth it. Totally worth picking up for the anime fan out there, because, man, seeing a movie like this in 4K is such a treat, and definitely worth your time. Just be prepared to bring tissues if you haven't already seen Wolf Children. And so that concludes my little segment here for Holiday Gift Guide. Want to once again thank the partners over at Sega, Bandai Namco, and Konami for sending codes for the respective games. And yeah, I bought the 4K Steelbook with my own money, but definitely recommend that as well. And with that, it's time to bounce it back to the rest of this holiday gift guide.
those magnificent bastards. Color me kooky, but something very odd is going on around here.
You're not allowed to talk anymore.
Hey guys, welcome back to This Week in Geek. And a big thank you to every partner and every company that contributed stuff to the holiday gift. We were sent so much stuff for consideration this year. It was so hard to not mention certain things. Like, I would have loved to have talked about Sonic Crossworlds, which is the racing game. I didn't get a chance to mention that in this gift guide.
But that's why I did. So it worked out in many cases where we were able to
double up
some
in
things
certain
were,
cases.
Yeah, some things were doubled up, and it's like, oh, I'll take this one, you take that one, that sort of thing. And there's going to be extras, dude, that we have that's why we've broken it up. Some things came so late that it was before, we only had like less than a day to look at things before we're getting ready to record. So that's why we have a last minute gift ideas, which usually comes when you have somewhere between 10 and 12 days left to Christmas, basically. So the end of this week, maybe early next week, we'll have our final, our final little last minute guide. And usually those are things that you can pick up either in person still, or if you got basically Walmart or Amazon are your last choices if you're getting physical, or if they're things that have digital options, obviously you can go that route.
Yeah. So yeah, like, again, just so many people helped us put this together, and so many people have made this a success over the 17 years plus of TWIG's history as one of Canada's longest running podcasts. The other guy beat us by a year or two. Damn it. But that's okay. We will keep going.
Living longer. We just have to be here longer. That's all.
Exactly.
It's a war of attrition, my friend.
That's true. I don't have to outlive them. I just have to outlive you.
Exactly.
I love it. So yeah, we've had a lot of big successes on TWIG this year. We've done a couple more interviews in the TTRPG space, which has been a lot of fun. Having people like Michael Dismuke, Jim Johnson. We're going to bring Aaron Paulier back on the show with Al Spader to do some stuff at the year end. Obviously having David Denoyer on the show, helping us out with Loose Cannon and Ram, has been Adam A. Donaldson, who's one of my friends here locally from CFRU, has been a great addition to the team. One thing I forgot to mention at the top of the show is my wife did me a solid for Christmas yesterday. She went to Niagara Falls Comic-Con and met Robert Picardo, aka the holographic doctor from Star Trek Voyager. And she got my first ever Star Trek book that I wrote, the Star Trek Adventures 2nd Edition Core Rulebook, signed by Robert Picardo. So Michael Dismuke has his captain's log signed by as many Star Trek actors as he can find. My goal is to get my Star Trek Core Rulebook signed by the cast of Star Trek Voyager. So far I've got Robert Picardo. Now I need to track down Garrett Wong, Robert Duncan McNeil, Kate Mulgrew.
They tend to show up at like Hamilton or Niagara Falls or obviously at like Fan Expo. They tend to show up at those two pretty frequently each year.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm thinking the odds of me getting at least most of the Voyager cast, not unreasonable. So I don't know if I ever told the story on air, but very briefly, I actually got emailed by accident by Robert Duncan McNeil about a bird problem, which was so weird.
I do remember that because
like, what?
Not it wasn't the Birdman he was looking for.
Yeah, he was looking for a literal bird man. So that was so weird. But yeah, so that was a very unexpected interaction. And then my wife and my sister Kara got pictures with the Grimace from McDonald's. She also met the 501st Stormtrooper Corps. She met R2-D2. Her and Kara got pictures with the Muppets and the Fraggles, which is pretty amazing.
Well, that basically I guarantee you that's the reason she agreed to go to the trip.
Oh, 100%. And then she randomly got a picture of Beetlejuice dressed as Santa Claus, so Beetle Claus. I was like, what the hell are you talking about? Then she showed me the picture, so I'm like, that's horrifying. But yeah, this has been a really fantastic year. Working with the new guys on the shows has produced a lot of evergreen content. Speaking of content, me and Alex should have a Christmas special. We still haven't worked out the details on that, but if we don't, me and Adam and Ken and Dave are going to be doing a Lord of the Rings watch through of the series, and our goal is to release one episode of Loose Cannon per week as a Christmas special till we've done at least the first 3 movies. So, The Fellowship of the Ring, The Two Towers, Return of the King, and then if we feel like it, we might do The Hobbit and those 3 movies. We may even get to the animated Bashki movies and the Lord of the Rings movie that came out last
AKA
year.
Nightmare Fuel.
AKA Nightmare Fuel. But yeah, so I guess, Alex, do you have any closing thoughts on the year?
It's been interesting. I mean, it's not the year that we've covered, I think, the most stuff. We've sort of had more breaks. We've taken more mental breaks as we've gone, because I think we ran ourselves pretty rough during the pandemic years.
Yes. Oh my God.
And when we started doing a lot more, like when I joined in 2017, I did a little bit. By 2018, I was full blown with the podcast. And 2020, we were like, you know what? If everybody's stuck at home, let's see how much we can do, how many interviews we can do, how many reviews we can do, and all this. And I look back at that and I go, good freaking Lord. But I mean, we needed something to keep busy then, but we've sort of found the right pace, I think. And, we've got plenty of stuff coming. Obviously, I'll just mention here briefly, we've got some Future Imperfect episodes on Judge Dredd and the Dredd remake. Or it's not really remake. I guess it's like reinterpretation. We've got that coming before the holidays. We've got a bunch more. I'm not going to say exactly which, because we're still figuring out the order, as you mentioned. But obviously, with Aaron and Darlene's Earth vs. Soup, we've got that coming as well. We'll have one more show of, like I said, the last minute gift ideas. We've got that coming. And this coming week, we've got the big Game Awards, event that we like to watch. I'm doing a watch party, as I do with my brother and my friend every year. You're going to watch. Ken is going to be, I think, sleeping or working, and he's going to listen and then catch up and then hop on to the big show the next day with us to do our basically our reactions. What do we think, and what did we see? If you're looking into our predictions of that, check back in the last week or so on the website or on your favorite podcatcher, because we did a pretty extensive discussion, Ken and I, of all of our picks, including yours, of what we think should win and what we think is going to win, what we would like to win, what we'd like to see there. All of that is done there, so you can get prepped for it, because later on this week the big show happens, and that usually marks the last of the major shows that we do for the year, because we have gift guides and things already pre-recorded and peppered in to go. And I always view the Game Awards coverage as the end, but we might have some more after. We might have a review show, things, because this is the second year in a row we had postal issues in this country. Things have sort of shifted, so some stuff that was meant to come in earlier may have come in a little later, and we'll see where she goes. But I've been very happy with what we were able to do this year. And again, like you said, thanks to all of our media partners and the companies that wanted to send us product for review or consideration, because it's always cool that check out many different things out there. We've got many listeners that are like to hear our opinions on stuff, so we try to do our best with it.
Yeah, it's been a really good year. I feel very proud of the work we've accomplished this year. While it may not be the quantity, I feel like the quality has gone up quite a bit this year. So while we're not just churning out podcasts every 2 to 3 days, the podcasts that we do turn out, I feel are of significantly higher quality. So I know in the new year, Alex and Aaron will be doing a little bit more Future Imperfect. You'll hear me now and again. I'm doing more stuff with Loose Cannon, and then obviously there'll be cross-pollination between those two projects. And I will be doing more TTRPG stuff. I promise not to neglect my Patreon. Thanks to the few people that are hanging around and paying me for that one. But I'm hoping to do a little bit more with that, just as I get more ideas and stuff. I'm glad to the book I was able to contribute to this year. I wrote for Star Trek Adventures, the 23rd Century Campaign Guide. I'm hoping to do more in the future. So I'll keep you guys posted on that as I'm able to talk about it. And yeah, just thanks to everybody on the podcast, to Ken, to JT, to Aaron, to Ken, to Dave, who gave me a really emotional phone call one night and was thanking us for just giving him a new platform since Do You Even movie ended earlier this year with the Air Bud franchise. Is nothing sacred, you bastard dog. It's been really nice to make new friends, to solidify friendships, and all of you have made this podcast journey wonderful. Again, we will continue going as long as me and Alex don't die. And even then, I'm sure there'll be evergreen stuff in the can.
Knock on wood.
Yeah, knock on wood.
And if, in case we forget, Merry Christmas, Happy, Kwanzaa, Hanukkah, whatever you celebrate or don't celebrate, just
happy non-denominational holiday.
Festivus for the rest of us. Punch you in the face of us, whatever you want to call it. Actually, maybe not punch you in the face. That's probably not a good idea.
Yeah, exactly. So, obviously, guys, treat each other well this holiday season. Wherever you see injustice, speak up, fight back. Don't take any shit from anybody. But, try to keep the peace as much as you can. But, sometimes people suck. So do whatever.
Warm wishes, hot food. Pet your kitties and dogs, and that's all I gotta say.
Yeah. Final thing, if you guys can find it and you have the means to do so, consider contributing to your local food banks. Your local food kitchens could always use support during this holiday season, so make sure you are helping out with that as well as you possibly can.
With old jackets, hats, blankets, anything you can donate, because a lot of times, even if you don't know where to donate it to, the food bank will.
Yeah, exactly. There's always groups in your community. If you ever need help finding resources like that, do not be afraid to ask me for help on social media. I will do my best to help you. So from This Week in Geek, we are wishing you a happy holiday, but we have been
Alex the Producer.
And I've been Mike the Birdman saying happy holidays, but most importantly, be excellent to each other, and we will see you at the Game Awards this week right here on ThisWeekInGeek.net.
At no point in your rambling, incoherent response were you even close to anything that could be considered a rational thought.
Thanks for listening to this episode of This Week in Geek. Hungry for more? Check out our website at ThisWeekInGeek.net. You can subscribe to the podcast, browse our Twitter and Instagram, and leave your thoughts on today's topics. If you'd like to give us some feedback, send us an email at feedback@thisweekingeek.net. Tune in next time, and remember,
lower your shields and surrender your listenership.
We would be honored if you would join us.
Thank you for your cooperation. Good night.
Merry Christmas, you filthy animal. And a Happy New Year.